This is Pastor Curry, pastor of the E. Zion Fair Baptist Church, Wilmington's most exciting church, the church that love ya, and ain't a thing you can do about it. You're probably wondering what's going on with Pastor Curry this week. Listen, we want to stay relevant. This is the National Culinary Month, and we wanted to do something to kind of do something with a little twist. So what we're doing today is we're going to have Cooking with Curry, because what you may not know is me trying to halfway preach is one of the things that I do, but God has also blessed me to be around some older folks, and they taught me how to burn in the kitchen. So today we're going to have a little bit of food. We're going to cook two of our favorite meals, one from the school and one from here at my house. My daughter loves my spaghetti, so we're going to make a spaghetti pot for you, and we're also going to make what I call the macaroni and tuna salad, the way we do it from down home. So listen, call somebody, let them know Coffee with Curry is on, and let's get after it.
Culinary historian Michael Twitty has made a name for himself, touring the country to lecture about Southern food traditions. His new book, The Cooking Gene, is out today. It explores the history of cuisine in the American South by focusing on the people who laid the foundation for it, enslaved Africans. Twitty is currently on a teaching residency in Colonial Williamsburg, Virginia. Dexter Thomas joined him there for a meal.
Hey, ladies. Hey, gentlemen. What's going on? Yeah, shut up. Or you will be breakfast. Black folks weren't allowed to have hogs. Weren't allowed to have cattle. But chickens, guinea fowl, which come from Africa, those were under the control of enslaved Africans. These chickens represent more than just a stereotype of black folks and fried chicken. It represents empowerment.
Twitty doesn't just write about history. He relives it by cooking the food that the slaves cooked. For his year-long residency in Colonial Williamsburg, Twitty teaches guests the food traditions of his enslaved ancestors. He starts most days in the garden.
Oh, good stuff, boy. There you go. Can't have pepper pot without a hot pepper. Yes, sir. A little rosemary and we gone.
You're a historian.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of ways you could study history.
Right.
Why food?
People associate food with identity. Food is the way of all human beings on earth say, we eat this is us. They eat that is not us. Everybody has this deep connections to gastronomy in their personal, familial lives. You know, our story is told through our plates.
Every year, 500,000 tourists visit Colonial Williamsburg for a sanitized glimpse at 18th century living.
Everything that's not behind the rope is all right.
There's no fancy knives and no air conditioning in Twitty's kitchen, just his food and the uncomfortable truth. You're making Southern cooking, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of people go to a certain place in their mind.
Right.
I think when they hear that, they go to a certain nostalgia.
Especially when I'm wearing these clothes.
Yeah, and that nostalgia isn't always a good thing for people who look like you and me.
Yes.
You put yourself in a very strange position.
I put myself in a place of subversion.
Okay, because you go in there and they're expecting something.
Yes, and sometimes they don't get what they want and it hurts their feelings and their butt hurt. But a lot of people who I deal with are conservative white folks who actually hear me talk and they come to new conclusions. And I'm proud of that. We're very aware of certain stereotypes, but get this. They sold chickens and sold vegetables so they could buy their husband's freedom. Do you understand me?
I guess that's what I want to know is, who is this book for?
Everybody. I want everybody at the same table. I want the African-American person who wants to kind of figure out what their heritage is, to sit next to the white person who goes, you know, I'm really curious and respectful of the African-American food tradition, African tradition. I want to learn more about that. I want them to sit next to the person who goes, I just like to eat.
The food looked good, but the only way I could get a plate was to help out in the kitchen.
Welcome to the Plantation South.
Thank you very much.
You need clothes for the Plantation South? I got clothes. Real clothes, historic clothes, so you can feel like your ancestors felt. Real slave clothes.
I'm not sure I want to feel like that.
Too bad. You gonna get dressed? Oh, get it now.
Oh, man.
I love it. Well, how does that feel?
I feel the part.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a good thing.
I want you to take all those vegetables and put them on in that pot right there. Yes, sir. Just dump them all in.
Yeah, this is hot.
Yeah, this is hot, isn't it?
Do you just get used to this?
You never get used to it. How do your eyes feel right now?
They're burning.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is the smoke getting to you?
The smoke has been got to me, yeah.
Uh-huh. Okay, come on away from there. I don't want you to die. Okay. You might as well get the shuck and corn there.
How does one shuck corn? I've done this once.
Where'd they get you from? Boston? Toronto? Gonna shuck that corn. Mm-hmm. Gonna shuck it good. Gonna eat it till my belly full. Food is more than just, chicken and macaroni and cheese and greens and stuff. It's quite elegant. It was the first American cuisine to really draw from the whole planet. Because you had ingredients from Southeast Asia, ingredients from the Middle East, ingredients from Europe, West Africa, Central Africa, East Africa, all combined in our cooking. Try this, one of our black-eyed pea fritters.
It's still
That's
really
kind of like
firm.
falafel, isn't it?
It is. Man, that is really good. This is not my grandmother's fried chicken.
But
This is close.
that's all I want. That's all I want. That's all I want in life.
That is close.
That's it. That's the highest compliment.
And we're back. Listen, I just wanted to share with you some of the ingredients that I have. Now, there's going to be some secrets told today because I don't usually tell people what I do, but I have an Aunt Lil who's going home to be with the Lord now, and she taught me how to cook. I had some other people around who did. I want to also give a special shout out to Help Williams. Jane Williams is her real name, but you would call her Help from Easy Iron Fare. She helped me to perfect some of my cooking. So what I did was I took a couple folks who really know how to cook. I put it all together, and I came with some really strong things. So the first thing we're going to make today is we're going to make what I call macaroni and tuna salad, and we're also going to make spaghetti. In my macaroni and tuna salad, there's the noodles, which we've already pre-boiled. We put eggs in them. We will certainly chop those up. This is diced onions, as well as green peppers, yellow peppers, red peppers, but not the hot peppers, and regular tuna. There's no special tuna, just as long as it's tuna, because there's a secret I'm going to tell you about in just a few moments. But I always say the only way you can have the curry salad, you must have Hellmann's mayonnaise. I don't care about all the other ingredients. You can get no frill everything, but you cannot get no frill Hellmann's mayonnaise. And also we will have relish in there as well. The next thing that we're going to cook is going to be our spaghetti. My daughter can eat this every day. She begs me to make it. I made some for the staff a couple of weeks ago. They loved it as well. There's meat that we will do. We make sure we do at least 80% lean. We have crushed tomatoes, making sure that you have something fresh in each pot, even though there's some makeshift things we're going to do. We're going to use regular spaghetti sauce. It doesn't matter the brand, depends on what you like in your sauce, but we're going to use some regular sauce. But we're also going to have sauteed onions, and we use 2 types of onions every time. We're also going to have the peppers, and all of this is going to be sauteed so that when we start frying the meat and putting everything together, it's just going to come out great. And I'm kind of excited. Never forget the secrets. The first secret I wanted to share with you is butter. Butter is going to be very critical, and I'll tell you when to do it, because knowing when to put it in is just as important as having it in your dish. Now, we will use this regular spaghetti. I chose to use the thin today. Sometimes I use the thicker, but my daughter loves thin, and she said once we finish with our show today, she wants to be the first partaker of the meal. Now, I'm going to go into my cabinet, and I'm going to pull out a secret. And when I pull the secret out, some people may say, oh, I do that, or somebody may say, I never done that before, and I want to try it. This is the secret. If you really want to bring out in your macaroni and tuna salad, for it to be really good, you have to go get some Gravy Master. Gravy Master is what brings out the tuna. and it flames it. So once I put that in there and chop it in there real good, you don't want to put it inside your macaroni and tuna salad. You just want to put it in this tuna. And once you put it in the tuna, you chop it in real good and mix all that together, it's just going to come out good. So we're going to be right back. But once we come back, I'm going to start my cooking, and I'm going to do both things at the same time. I'm not going to just cook one meal and then go to the other. You'll see me cooking each meal, but they'll be done together. All right, we'll be right back.
I'm Felissa DeRose, and I'm going to share a few of my favorite tips on how to manage diabetes through food. If you're newly diagnosed with diabetes and you feel like you already have a busy schedule, trust me, I understand. I had a busy life before diabetes came in and was like, hold up, everything else comes second to diabetes. And so oftentimes, as busy as my world is, I have to remember that yes, I'm packing my daughter's snacks for school, but I also need to pack my snack, right? Like, she can't get a snack packed for her if mommy's not here. When it comes to a diabetic diet, I don't use the word diet. It's a meal plan. It's an option. There's the plate method, the glycemic index, and carb counting. The plate method is the simplest one. The plate is 9 inches. Half of it is vegetables, 25% is the carb, and then 25% is protein. That makes the plate. Then there's carb counting. Carb counting is about figuring out how many carbs are in each food. Then there's a glycemic index. This one is a little bit challenging, but because I love cherries and I love grapes, I had to figure out how many grapes, if they're green grapes, purple grapes, they all have a different level of sweetness. Well, there are these things that are on my I don't eat that anymore list, and I make sure that I don't bring them home. When I go grocery shopping, I read the labels. I'm constantly reading the food label and trying to figure out how much of this item can I have that fits into my 45 grams of carbs that I eat per meal. A tip for you when you go grocery shopping is to shop on the outside where there's fresh foods before you go inside the lines where you have packaged foods. So if you start on the outside and you have your protein, then you have your vegetables, by the time you look at your cart, it's pretty much full. So there's less room for canned food or packaged foods and these kinds of things. If I'm in a restaurant that has a menu, I first look at the appetizers. Like, how many carbs are in these appetizers? If there's an app available that can tell me the amount of carbs in that meal, great. If the menu has it printed on there, even more fantastic. I always view dessert as it's my entire carb count for the meal. So if I want to have something like dessert, I'll end up with a salad. Whenever there's a buffet, I scan the buffet first. Because what I found is that people tend to put the heavy carb foods at the end. So if you don't scan and you start off and you take some carbs for an appetizer section and then you move on down and then you have carbs for the meal, by the time you get to the end where the dessert is or the fruit or something like this, you're out of carbs. So when I'm carb counting, I'm not depriving myself of any carbs, I'm exchanging the carbs. So I'm exchanging bread for rice. I'm exchanging potatoes for pasta. I can eat it all, but in moderation. Sometimes I get the diabetes management right. Some days are smooth sailing. And then there are other days where I'm like, it just didn't pan out perfectly today. Why in the world did I eat that chocolate chip cookie last night? And I'm just trying not to beat myself up. Trying to remind myself that diabetes is hard and I don't need to ruin my entire day. And in those times, I just have to say, One day is not the end of the world. So if you mess up breakfast, you have lunch. If you mess up lunch, you have dinner. If you mess up breakfast, lunch, and dinner in that day, you have the next day to get it right. So that's constantly what I'm telling myself. I have another opportunity to get it right. And I'm gonna get it right the next time. These are tips to not be overwhelmed about the food choices that you have. Make sure you check out more tips on Diabetes What's Next.
Okay, we're going to get started. We're going to go ahead and turn this on medium high in order to make sure that you don't cook it too fast. One of the secrets I have is I put a little extra virgin alcohol. Not alcohol. We definitely don't want alcohol, but a little virgin extra extract oil for the sauteing of my onions and different the vegetables. Don't put too much, no more than maybe a cap full, just so you can get the pan nice and moisture. And what you want to simply want to do is make sure that the oil is all over the pan, because when you put those onions in there, you're going to hear the crackling in just a minute. Again, I hope you can see this, but we want to make sure that the pan is nice and hot, but you don't want the fire to be too high. All of these are my onions and peppers and things of that nature. This is really what makes the meal really great, because when you taste all of this sauteed in the meat as well as the sauce, it just makes you think that, we've done something so great. But as you can hear already, it's already starting to crumble. And you can also see it may look like this is going to be a whole lot of onions, but you'll see how it'll cook down to little of nothing. Another thing we do is we also put, with that little bit of oil, a half a cup of water to help with the steam. That's telling you that it's doing what it needs to do. Here's also some of my favorites, so you'll know some of the things. I'm from the old school. Help taught me you don't need to measure anything. Just shake a little bit in, shake a little bit out. So this is Lowry seasoning. No real home from the African American tradition can cook unless you have some Lowry seasoning. So you just put some in here just to season up your onions. This is when my wife will come down on when we have those breakfasts, and she smells those onions, and she can't even eat onions because she's allergic to them, but she loves the way they smell, and she also loves the way they taste, but just can't do it. Also a little pepper to go in here as well, just so you can season your peppers. I love garlic, not too much. I don't cook with salt, but some of these does have salt in it, but I always cook with different flavors, even though we already have. That's good. And last, one day I tried it and I loved it. It's called Mrs. Dash. It's pretty good. All right. So you put a little bit of that in there too. And then what you need to do is just simply add a little bit more of the water, and it's only for the steam, so it won't burn. Cover it so that it can steam and cook. Let that sit there and get busy with something else. So what I want to do now, while we're letting that cook, I want to go ahead and grab what I call the macaroni and tuna salad, which is really interesting because this is one of my favorites. And I was told you're supposed to use bowls. Let me just give you a secret. You don't have to use bowls. Use the pot. It stirs better. And it's not like there's a real rule. But if my wife heard me, she would say, there is a rule. You're supposed to do it right. Oh, okay. Well, she just came down and said, I use a pot too. All right. So now we're going to move to this. And this is the macaroni. I pre-boiled it because I knew that we would not have a lot of time, given that you're going to hear from myself and my wife. I make sure that I stir this real good to make sure everything is nice and loose. I season my noodles before I put everything else in. So again, I don't know how to take a spoon of this, a spoon of that. I was taught by the older people. You just shake it. That looks about enough. You shake it. That looks about like enough. So if you ever ask me, how much do I put in? A shake or two. And you shake it. That looks about enough. And last but certainly not least, you throw a little this in here, a little pepper, and that should be good. Not too much. I like to season my noodles because if you season your noodles, it'll help bring out the flavor of whatever you're doing. I hope you can see. Okay? While that's kind of settling, I want to show you what I do with my tuna. This is a for mashed potatoes, I think, but you can use it for all kinds of things, I'm sure. I kind of use it to squash down my tuna because I want to separate the tuna so it can spread throughout the whole dish. And then I put my secret sauce, as I already revealed, Gravy Master. It's supposed to be for steak, but I found out through my aunt that once you put this in here, it just, what's the big word, baby, for it explodes. That's the real big word. The flavor inside of on there. Now notice I'm not gonna put a whole lot because you don't want to overcook it. I mean overpower it. All you want to do is just make sure that it turns it so everything can, all of it can have it in here. Don't start. It's even causing my dog to want to come in because she loves tuna, but she can't have none of this. Again, you don't have to have the name brand tuna because this right here brings out the tuna so strong that as long as it's tuna, that's all that matters. You don't have to have a certain name. Although my wife only eat one kind, I think it's Alba or something. I can't even pronounce it. I guess she said albacore or whatever. I use Darkis or whatever they got on sale, or we can even use the store brand, but you just want to make sure that it's all in there good. The next thing I do, and if you notice how that looks now, the next thing I do is I just break it up. You don't have to be neat. I mean, you don't have to be neat and cut everything perfect. Just chop, 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 chop. And before you know it, it's just chopping all over the place. And the messier the meal is, the better it tastes. Trust me when I tell you, you can go to the daycare and talk to the saints over there. They'll tell you that it's good. It's real good because I think it's all in the ingredients, making sure that you have the right ingredients. But even while you're talking and doing other things, because you got to be able to multitask if you're going to be a chef. And that's, since this is National Chef Month, I'm acting like I'm a real chef, even though I'm not. But if you're going to be a good chef, you got to do more than one thing. So if you notice, I still have my onions going for the spaghetti. Okay? And I'm going to try to get these chopped real fast, and then we're going to jump over to the spaghetti. All right, so we put all of that in there. And now again, if you're going to be a good chef, you got to be able to do more than one thing, but always keep your hands clean. You don't do no cross contamination because, you know, cooking one thing and then you got to cook another. I was taught to always have a sink of bleach water to make sure that you're constantly wiping down as you go. It also helps you when you get finished to enjoy your meal because you don't have to worry about a whole lot of cleanup. So as you can see, it's starting to cook down. Now is when I stir it so we can let all of them, and you have to be here. Now you can hear my voice, but you cannot smell how this smells. It smells like Paula Deen. All right. We'll let that cook a little bit longer, and we'll continue to go. The next thing I put in is my onions. Make sure you dice them up very, very small. No one wants to eat a salad and you're crunching onions and you're crunching this. It should all blend. There should be a consistency. I learned that from my Aunt Lil. She when she would cook, she said, you know, like for example, by mistake, I left a bigger onion there. Well, that's when I was chopping it up, excuse me. But you want to keep it as consistent as possible. So what my wife has is the chopper. I never will forget when I used to use everything with a knife, but my wife came home one day with a blender that you can chop everything up. And she was on the couch doing something and she heard me in here and I said, oh my God, 20 seconds. I was finished chopping up all my onions when it normally take you 20 minutes to do it. But all you got to do is dump your onions in. And again, after each time you dump something in, give it a stir. Give it a stir because you want to make sure it gets all its flavor. Then after that, the red peppers. Again, not red pepper, but it's not the hot red pepper. It's just the regular red peppers. Dump them in. You can really dump these. These are much smaller items. You can dump these in all together because this will be fine. That was the green pepper, and this is the yellow. I love peppers. By now, I'm sure you can tell. Again, stir well. Stir well. I'm going to show you how this looks. Okay, so Kendall, shut up. So you can see it's starting to come together already. We still have not even put the tuna fish in yet. But the next thing I do is I then put my relish in because that's important. Another secret, a lot of people don't put relish in, but the sweet relish is really good. And remember, it doesn't have to be a certain name brand, just as long as it's sweet relish. How much do you put in? A little bit of this, a little bit of that, and say, all right, that's enough because you don't want to overpower it. So I can't tell you exactly how much, but just enough to make sure it's doing what it needs to do. Yeah, that looks good. That looks real good. All right. Then we move from that to now the golden thing. Remember, we have already mixed it with our secret gravy master. Now we're going to pour this all in. It will turn the color of your salad a little dark only because you got now the gravy master in there, but the flavor just will kill you. It's to die for. It's really good. I've not had anyone to really say they didn't like the way we do the macaroni and tuna salad. And if by some chance you're hearing a dog, I'm just not paying her any mind because she wants me to talk to her only between her and my daughter. Nobody can have my attention but them. But she's upstairs doing something else. So far, see where we are? We need to check our onions here because, again, what you don't want to do, you don't want anything to burn. And sometimes you may have to add a little bit more water in because you want to keep it going. You don't want it to stick at any point. You definitely don't want it to stick because, again, you don't want burnt. You want, but they're still not done yet because it should be totally soft. All right. Now we move, now that we have mixed that in, here is the Hellmann's. Hellmann's is the last thing you put in. Don't put this in early, put this in last. And what we'll do is we'll get a spoon and we will do a couple dips. Uno, dos. That should be good. We'll see. No one likes dry macaroni and tuna salad. So, you know, if you ever went over to somebody's cookout and the macaroni salad was dry, you was like, oh, what's that? What is this? That's because they didn't use enough mayonnaise. I think we should put just a little bit more mayonnaise in there because it's good, but I want to make sure when I serve it to the office tomorrow, it won't get dry because the noodles will eat up the mayonnaise. That's what my wife told me. So, you know, and I'm home cooking, so if you see people walking around, you see the dog getting upset, just know we're just doing this because our producer here, Miss Kendra Murray, said to me today we need to do something for Culinary Month, and we're just making it happen. All right, so far we're looking good, see? Looking good. Still got one more surprise. We got one more surprise for that one item. We'll be right back.
To the average car passing by, this looks like an out-of-date storefront. But there is a hidden gem here, and the secret is starting to get out. Located just outside Washington, D.C. in Beltsville, Maryland, Milk and Honey Cafe is the creation of celebrity chef Sammy Davis, most known for his win on the Food Network's Chopped Redemption.
And finally become the Chopped champion.
Chef Davis began cooking as a way to make money and stay on a positive path, and after his first restaurant in Atlanta closed, he decided to open one here in the DMV.
So I was just trying to come up with a place that could really have great food. And so I was just like working on breakfast and brunch and stuff like that. And I just developed Milk and Honey.
Milk and Honey Cafe serves American-style brunch with an upscale twist.
The shrimp and grits, the lobster crab hash, and the strawberry shortcake deep fried biscuits.
The shrimp and grits is Milk and Honey's #1 seller, making up 28% of their sales.
It is delicious. I see why that is his signature meal. It is absolutely great.
From Milk and Honey's inception, Chef Davis wanted an intimate restaurant with a friendly environment.
I come here laughing all the time. Start off laughing, leave laughing for the most part. We get busy, but that's okay. We want to be busy.
But with food this great, sometimes customers wait up to 4 hours just to get a table.
But when we came up to the counter, they said it was a 2 to 3 hour wait. So we said we weren't going to come and wait.
At one point, we were on a 4-hour wait. Literally. People would have came in at 12, would end up eating around 4 o'clock. It was crazy. I couldn't believe it. I mean, it made me feel good. It was bad for business, but it made me feel good that people would wait 4 hours to eat the food.
Now that the weather is breaking, the outside patio offers a lot more extra seating for those who want to come and visit Milk and Honey Cafe. And if the wait is still too long for you, you can always take your food to go, like I am. With News Vision, I'm Camille Myrie.
And we're back. Well, I've been making the macaroni and tuna salad and just wanted you to see my progress, see how it looks. Looks great. And what I always do is make sure that we, have everything in there that needs to be. I've already seasoned my noodles, but it's not a real season, not that strong. So again, I put a little bit more of the Lawry seasoning in to help bring out everything else. Not too much, just a little bit. Same with the pepper. Again, not too much. Just enough to bring out the flavor, because some people get very heavy-handed and stuff start tasting like one season, and you really don't want that. Okay. All right. So here we go. We're gonna stir it one last time. And then a secret that I don't tell everybody, just a little bit of sugar, because what happens with the Gravy Master, it's very strong with the going into the tuna, but you don't want to put the sugar in with that, so you just put it in your dish, just a little bit, don't put too much. I already have pre-measured this, but again, how much sugar, I never know, because again, I wasn't taught how to measure. But stir it in there real good. Yeah. If it don't taste good, it smells good. You can smell the tuna. All right, so what I'm gonna do, I've already prepared a little display, or shall I say my wife did, because she wants me to be a professional chef one day. So when we retire from the church, maybe we'll open up a restaurant. And then that will be your macaroni tuna salad. And what happens is we're going to have some of the staff to try it, and you'll get some response of whether or not it was good, bad, or in between. If my daughter was down here, well, she doesn't really care for this, but I don't have anybody to really taste this because my wife doesn't care too much. But what do you do, baby? You do like this a little bit. So would you like to try this real quickly for the people? How about we get you a fork? You just gonna grab your own? Okay, you don't like to wash dishes, so you would rather you just use a fork? That's a plastic fork. And notice, because we were on camera, I didn't get a chance to taste it, so I hope it's going to be great. Good?
Very good.
Now, is that because you want a Louis bag, or is it because it's really good?
It's good.
Okay.
And I want a Louis bag.
Well, there you are. That's the first thing, and it is complete. You can decorate it. It's a great recipe. I hope you hold to it. Some of y'all may have forgot. We have another dish that's brewing. These are my onions. You're saying, wow, that takes forever for that to get done. Remember how large it was at first? See how it's cooked down? Now you have sauteed peppers and onions. You take those out and you put them in a separate plate. Just take them out for a minute, okay? And then what you do is you put your hamburger meat, which is already prepared, put that in the exact same pot because you don't want to lose the flavor. I learned that some people wash after everything they do. Since it's going to all go in there together, you want to go ahead and put your hamburger in. Okay, another secret. Now we're going to something else we put in ours, and I have to go to the refrigerator and get it. This is my wife's secret. It's called Worcestershire, I can't even say it, sauce. Worcestershire sauce. And whenever you have any kind of meat, you put some of this in there, it wakes the flavor up unbelievable. How much do you put in? I never know. Just a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Put it in there. And then you want to put your seasonings in because you don't want to cook meat without seasoning or it'll come out very bland. So you put a little bit of whatever seasonings you're using. I use Lowry seasoning for everything I cook. There's nothing I cook that does not have Lowry seasoning in it. I like this garlic mixed with celery. You put a little bit of that in there. And I also want some of Mother Dash. All I do with this is just chop. I just chop. And I did not, if you notice, I did not cook this with the already sauteed onions because I tried that one time and it was a horrible situation. This is the best way to do this meat. Cook it separate by itself. This is how it looks. Cook it separate by itself. Close it up. Allow it to cook for a couple minutes, and you will see that it's going to all come together. But for right now, I wanted to make sure that you saw how I did the meat, and now the meat is cooking. We'll be right back.
Here we teach the basics, but the basics is a lot. They will leave here knife skills. We teach knife skills because that chef knife is your tool to trade. So we teach knife skills. We go into meat fabrication. So we learn how to break down certain things. We break down whole chickens in meat fabrications. We'll learn the 5 mother sauces. We actually do them. So we'll learn the stock. So we'll learn how to roast bones compared to blanching bones. And then we'll go into the cooking techniques of sauteing, broiling, braising, grilling. So all these things are important that as a cook, you should know. So these are the basics that they will learn.
Coming here was very beneficial to me because I want to cater. once I complete this. So I've been learning so many things. How to handle food properly, how to prevent people from getting sick, you know. I have been learning a great deal.
And a dream of mine has always been owning my own business, either be catering or maybe a small cafe or even being a personal chef. So this program was perfect to match my dreams.
I like anything about food, cooking food, feeding people, and it's a joy for me. Food business is good business, you know, because it makes people happy.
I see so many lives change. People from all walks of life coming to this program, you know, younger, older, middle age, it doesn't matter. If they're in the position where their life where they need to change, or they're there now, the people have lost their jobs and they want a new career. I've seen so much happen with the ones that come in and they really put forth the effort. They're really passionate about wanting to learn, and it can be life changing in that way.
So it's looked like it's really coming to a good cooking. Just so you'll know, you don't want to half cook this. Some people like their meat red and things of that nature. You want to cook it all the way through, since we're using it as in spaghetti. Now is the time that is nice and fully done. As you can see, it's fully done. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the sauteed onions and I'm going to put it back in. Look at that. Man, this is just awesome. And what you got to do is just mix it all in. Mix it in nice and good. Let each of its flavors get into each other. I don't know if that's the right language, but I ain't a professional. I'm just an inspiring person. Huh? Just so you can get a feel for what it's looking like. Can you see that? That's what happens when you mix it all together so far. And it's smelling fabulous. That's my wife's favorite word. She used it with a high soprano. But you want to let it cook for just a minute or so, because you want to try to get all of its flavors all blended together. And again, I did not turn my heat up very, very high. I turned it up medium high, so that it can certainly cook. But we want to make sure that it was the flavor is going through it. All right. All right. So we're going to hold that for 1 second. The very next thing we're going to do is, I told you about the tomatoes. Fresh tomatoes are perfect, but the canned tomatoes are good too. Do not get crushed, get diced if you're going to get real tomatoes, because you don't just want tomato sauce, spaghetti sauce. You want to make sure that you have a real strong base. So what I do now is I take the tomatoes and now just dip it in, drop it in, all the tomatoes, and I mix. Because again, the goal is to put all the flavor in the flavors of each thing. If you cook too fast, it won't have all its own flavors. It's starting to get full, the pot is, so I got to be careful. Thank you, baby. You can give me those crackers, because I was going to have that with my and you can use Club or you can use Ritz crackers, but that's going to go with my salad in just a minute. Well, she wants me to show you the box. But you don't have to have this type of cracker. You can use whatever cracker that you enjoy, but this is what we have in the house right now, and I do like those. So again, I did a little splash, but that's all right. If you can see now, it's starting to really come together. It's pulling together. You want it to cook. Everything you put in, give it a minute to cook together, because you got to try to make sure it's grabbing each other's flavor. Then we're going to move from that, and we get ready to put the spaghetti sauce in. Now remember, you do not have to get a special kind of spaghetti sauce. Whatever you like in your spaghetti sauce, just get it. Just try not to get meat spaghetti sauce because you already have the meat here. And again, once you have spent that minute allowing it to cook within itself, you open and then add again. And this time you're going to add the spaghetti sauce. The whole jar is fine because people at the office are saying they want to make sure that they get an opportunity to have some of this on in the morning. So I made sure I'm making enough for this family tonight and the office tomorrow. You want to stir slow because I think I have a whole lot in here and I don't want to have a catastrophe on TV. So we're going to stir slow. And it's doing just what it needs to do. See how this is all coming together. It's really starting to show its true flavor. You got onions, you have peppers, 3 different types. You have fresh tomatoes. You have the spaghetti sauce of your choice, all fried together. It's all blending, but you got to give it a minute because it has to all come together. If you do not give it a minute, it'll be tasting like a bunch of things all mixed together. So I think that's stirred pretty good. We're going to go ahead and let that just take its course. Just give it a second. And while that's getting ready, there's another piece that I'm going to surprise you with. And this is a secret. After this is done what it needs to do, I'm going to put some butter in there. Butter has salt in it, but it also has a special taste. Most Italians, that's their secret in spaghetti, is the butter. A lot of times people use margarine or they may use other things, but I learned from a good friend of mine about using butter, and butter really brings out the taste. We're going to be right back.
We are a fusion soul food truck, so kind of taking some amazing flavors from Southern soul food and blending those with Central American flavors to give you a nice fusion of American soul. I wanted to celebrate African American figures and historians that have made an impact on our lives. When I thought about building the truck out, I was like, what's a great name? And postcards seemed to fit. When we get to a location and we feed you, hopefully you get that same good feeling from receiving our food, just as friends got from receiving that postcard that I may have sent from somewhere across the world. Because we are the only truck in Southern California, and I would even say in the country, doing what we're doing, all of the items were inspired by African American historians, the names. Our #1 seller actually happens to be our greatest. It's a pulled beef brisket with macaroni and cheese and kale, and our Alice's Final Word, which is macaroni and cheese with dirty rice and beans and a roasted chicken with a nice mesquite seasoning. And then we have a special that we kind of introduced to our menu called the Maya A cornbread fritter. Fresh corn and mild peppers, topped with mac and cheese. I switched from what I was doing, from more brand management, marketing, and so forth, business development, to this because I was tired of working for companies that I had a tendency to be like the only one that looked like me in the room. And sometimes I felt that they were definitely those glass ceilings, and I wanted to be in control of my life and my destiny, but I wanted to do something that was creative, and cooking is creative. Based on that, I was like, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to buy a food truck and start a business. And it's been 4 years now, so it's been working out quite well. You know, anything you could have is a wrap or a bowl. When I was growing up, my parents owned 2 restaurants. It definitely kind of set a foundation for me and my brothers. Kind of gave us a constitution for being hard workers.
Best food and produce where?
You look at some of the things that customers are saying, it's all very, very positive. That also helps with making you want to get up the next day and say, I want to do it again. For me, I'm successful because I'm happy.
just put in, I know this looks very, very fatty. Don't tell nobody, but honestly, this is why the food tastes good, is because you got to do little secrets like that. Hide it so nobody can't see it. All right. I said hide the butter. And what I did was I allowed it to cook a little bit, just a little bit. If you can see, I don't know if you can see this, but this is really turning out to be strong and good. You can see the meat, everything is blended in very, very good. Maybe I should have gone to culinary school. I may have been able to really cook, but it was done the old folks in my life. They took care of me. They showed me how to cook. That's why I've always been heavy. One little secret, one more secret. We're gonna have to get a little bit of sugar. The acid in the tomatoes is cut by the sugar, but it also brings out the flavor. You don't want to put too much sugar because no one wants sweet spaghetti, but you got to put enough in there to be able to cut some of the acid. All right, so let me run over here real fast and grab a little bit of sugar. All you have to do is just put a little bit of sugar in. Stir that in pretty good. Usually this pot is not this full, but I think because I'm cooking for the staff as well as home, it's a little bit more than normal, but it still should be good. We're gonna have my daughter to come and try it. I think she's gonna cooperate. Sometimes she cooperates, sometimes she don't. She lives in her own world. But I saw her at the expo shaking, so she better cooperate or else. All right, that's good enough. What I'm gonna do now is I'm going to grab the noodles, the spaghetti. As I told you, we pre-cooked those. I'm gonna put the noodles inside this pot. I tend to separate because I don't like anything clingy. So I tend to separate so that it can go through nicely. Okay. All righty. Okay. And what we'll do is we'll go ahead and put in the sauce. So what I want to do is I'm going to come off camera to put the sauce in because I got to move some stuff around and make it happen because this is a lot of sauce. And just in case I burn up the house, I don't want you to be able to see it. All right. So let me just go away real quick and put the sauce inside. All right, I was able to pour it in, even though I got a little messy over here a little bit. Where's my spoon? Oh, here it is. It's right here where all the spaghetti is. Now I have to stir it to get the noodles and everything mixed in together. Some people do not like their spaghetti mixed with their meat sauce. That's the only way I know how to do it. That's the way I was taught. And a lot of people who eat my spaghetti, they just say, "You're the only person spaghetti I eat where it's already mixed." I tend to believe because it's so flavorful. But, yeah, no, I don't know. If you're doing it my way, make sure you're mixing real well. All of that juice, all of that is now becoming a part of this whole pot. I want to make sure you can see. Now, I'm going to sneak and get some of my wife's grated cheese. She spends a lot of money for it, so she would prefer that I use the Parmesan cheese, which is fine too. But her grated cheese is very, very expensive, and I like her to get upset with me because I use her stuff when she only wanted it for her. So let's sneak and go get some of that Parmesan cheese out of the freezer. It's called I don't even know. All I know is freshly grated. And we're not going to let her know, but we're just going to use some. And she told me if I was to use it, just use a little bit. So I'm going to use a little bit more than a little bit. No, just to be a little cantankerous. All right, so I put a little bit. That's a little bit. That's a little bit more than a little bit. Why am I doing this? Because it helps brings the substance to the spaghetti. You don't want too much, but you do want to make sure, because people will put their own cheese in there, but you want to cook it with some cheese because it's important that it all comes together. What I normally do after this step is I put it back on the stove very low, let it simmer so all of the juices can come together. But since we're on camera today, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a spoon and I'm going to dip some out, and then you'll get a chance to see both of my dishes, and I will definitely look forward to being called to cater your next event. So let me grab real fast a spoon for the spaghetti, and then you'll get a chance to see it in its fullness. All right. So there you have two dishes that were made by Pastor C.T. Curry during this month celebrating Culinary Month. You have his spaghetti. You have to ask someone whether or not it tastes good, because I've been told I do a mean spaghetti. We also have our macaroni and tuna salad. We just had that on Sunday. We had a little cookout at the church, and the men was having a lunch for everybody who was working out there for the whole pandemic, and we made some for them. And my wife did a little bed of lettuce and cucumber and tomato and carrots, and I wanted to add the crackers because I think crackers are always good when you do one with a salad. Remember, this is the specialty of the Curry family. We have made this macaroni and tuna salad this way for generations, and I'm glad I was able to keep that. This is my spaghetti, and I hope that you really enjoyed me preparing that for you. I wish you could get some of the taste, and make sure you get some crackers. And we're back. Listen, this has been a great show, and I really want to thank Kendra and all of those who wanted to do something to celebrate Culinary Month. I had fun doing this. This was really nice, and I enjoy the cooking for my family, cooking for the church. And today we made, the macaroni and tuna salad. We made the spaghetti. Ash, you're the most honest in the house. You usually tell me how it is. So did Daddy do all right with his spaghetti today? Okay. Well, for the first time, I'm going to try the macaroni and tuna salad. Oh my. I'll have to try one more bit, but it's really good. It's really good. But I want to thank all of you all. Hope you enjoyed my wife. She did a very good job with her presentation that she wanted you to see. She's one of the best bakers in the world. We have her goods at the church in our bookstore every Sunday. You want to get some of her cakes and things of that nature, it is available to you. Yes, Ashley?
Can I have a napkin?
Sure, you can have a napkin. See, this is what children do. Mom, could she have a napkin? But please make sure that you can pay, if you want to get some of her cakes and things that she bakes, you certainly can feel free to do that at the store. The church store is open on Sundays from 8 until 4 p.m. And we're also open from 4 to 8 every Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesdays. But again, thanks so very much for spending this time with us today. This has been a wonderful show. I enjoyed having you in my home. It was wonderful. Thank you so much. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook and Instagram, as well as YouTube. Just go ahead, Zion Fair Baptist Church, and you will get all of our YouTube channels. It has been wonderful. Thanks so much, and I'll see you next week. God bless.